people's voice. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the people's voice. I am Trey Evans, and I am the people's voice. Thank you again for checking out the podcast this week. As always, it is greatly appreciated. As always, we thank everyone for taking some time out of your day to listen to the podcast. We do understand that you can be utilizing your time to do something else, so we appreciate you spending the next 20 to 30 minutes with us today. As always, if this information is enlightening and you feel it to be valuable, we do ask that you subscribe to the podcast. That way you'll be notified once each episode is released. We put out new episodes every Friday, which is on all podcast platforms. And we will be putting out the video a couple of days later. I'm thinking Mondays after the podcast drops. So that is a programming note that we made a change in terms of when we release the video. The video will probably be released 48 hours after the podcast premieres on the podcast platforms. But in any event, however you are getting this information via podcast platforms or via our YouTube channel, we thank you and we appreciate the support. So today, I am going to talk about video surveillance cameras, specifically doorbell cameras. And I'm going to talk specifically about Ring doorbell cameras. And, you know, for those who have listened to the podcast before, I'm not in the business of bashing any companies. I'm not, this platform is not for that. I'm going to be talking specifically about Ring today, only because it is, number one, the most popular doorbell, video surveillance doorbell on the market. And they have a ton of information, or I should say, they have a lot of information on their company. And then also there's been a lot of different pieces done regarding their company. So from a research standpoint, it just made more sense to discuss doorbell cameras and to kind of highlight Ring in this. So I just wanted to get that up front because, again, I'm not here to bash any company. But in any event, I want to talk about doorbell video surveillance and specifically about privacy. One of the things that people I think I've talked about it on this podcast before, but I'm a huge privacy advocate. I just believe in it. Now I know, people say, well, you do a podcast, you're on social media. I am, but I can assure you that utilizing all of these platforms, I am very much aware of what information can and will be released by the different vehicles that I utilize to broadcast. And with that, I've taken the necessary steps to protect private information. But with that, I want to talk about your private information, specifically when you use some of these doorbell video surveillance devices. Now, I'm talking about this because obviously, video doorbell surveillance is huge, right? Wherever you live, whether you live in a residential neighborhood full of houses or if you live in apartments, now people have video doorbells in front of their residence. And, from a safety standpoint, completely understand. Full disclosure, I have video surveillance, but I have video surveillance. It's not doorbell related. I have video surveillance here at the compound. So, um, from that standpoint, I understand the need for video surveillance. I just wanted to make that clear. But with the doorbell, you know, first off, a lot of people are using the video doorbells because number one, it's a very inexpensive way to have video surveillance at your home, right? The price points in terms of accessing one of those devices are pretty affordable, especially these days. They've really come down in pricing, since they hit the market, I guess, over a decade ago now. So they're very affordable, and they provide an immediate convenience. An immediate convenience for individuals who want to find out what's going on in front of their homes. A lot of people use them for making sure that the kids have gotten home safe from school. They do it to monitor package deliveries and visitors. And I have nothing wrong with that. I'm fully on board about surveillance. But one of the issues that has been discussed is about privacy. Okay, when it comes to those doorbells that you are utilizing. So what do I mean? What do you mean by that? Well, beyond just the video surveillance, right? When you sign up to utilize these devices, they have terms and agreements, and they also have notices of privacy. And I talked about this on a previous podcast, and I'll link that in the video so you guys can check that out. Or if you want to look at, if you're listening to the podcast, you can go to, I think I talked about terms and agreements last year. Forgive me, I don't know the title of the podcast, but I talked about this in terms of how people do not read the terms and agreement when they sign up for various services. Well, in the video surveillance or the video doorbell situation, you have a similar thing, but it's even I guess heightened even more because you have not only are you giving a company access to the videos in front of your home, and a lot of people are now using video surveillance inside of their homes, which is a whole nother thing. But that information that you're providing, in terms of your name, address, billing information, et cetera, that information is subject to being utilized by other companies. And so I'm going to get into that a little bit today to kind of explain what that is, what information is shared, who is it shared with, and then, kind of some of the things that you can do to prevent it or at least reduce the amount of information that is shared. So as I started, I'm going to talk about Ring because they've been in the news a lot. Now, for those of you who don't know, Ring Doorbell is, again, one of the prominent doorbell surveillance companies, at least here in the United States. I'm pretty much worldwide, I'm assuming, but as always, this information is I research here in the United States. But they have millions of cameras out that are being utilized by the citizens here in the United States. So recently, there was so let me just, before I go into that. So Ring Doorbell was purchased by Amazon back in 2018. So it is now an Amazon company. It was a company on its own, and then it was sold to Amazon back in 2018. Recently, they were in the news, Ring Doorbell and Amazon, over privacy issues. Matter of fact, let me play this clip from CNBC that kind of talks about this. There was recently a settlement where Amazon basically agreed to pay $30 million over privacy violations, but like 6 million of it, like 5.8 million of it, was specifically about privacy issues regarding videos from their Ring doorbell service. So let me play that, and then I'll continue on about the surveillance privacy notices.
$1 million over that claim. When you set up a Ring camera like this one, you can keep an eye on home from afar. But the FTC says homeowners weren't the only ones alleging that Ring gave all of its employees, quote, full access to every customer video. The federal complaint says the issues predate Amazon's 2018 purchase of Ring. And in a statement, Amazon says our devices and services are built to protect customers' privacy. While we disagree with the FTC's claims regarding both Alexa and Ring and deny violating the law, these settlements put these matters behind us.
So, as you heard there, in this particular case, the privacy was access to videos. Like literally all of the employees, as you heard in this piece of Ring, had access to customers' videos. So you have a camera sitting in your outside of your door, or like I said, a lot of cameras now are within the home as well. Any employee that was associated with Ring could just pull up your account and basically go through your video log, right? And now, you know, I know I have to assume that Amazon and Ring do a certain level of screening when it comes to their employees. But I mean, that right there is just, you know, totally unacceptable. I mean, you don't know who is looking at your videos. Could be, you know, an ex-spouse or you know, or maybe even a stalker. It's just, that part of it is just out of control. But in addition to that, right, just the videos being seen, the information that you utilize when you sign up for these services are also shared with third-party apps or third-party vendors that Ring and Amazon work with, right? So what information is being shared? So let me start there. So I'm reading a Zebra, which is a company that kind of does comparisons for insurance companies, that you can go on to kind of research which company is best for you. They've done a survey about smart doorbell cameras. And what they specifically did was they conducted a survey. They talked to about 1,500 different people to kind of get an understanding of, or I guess find out, how much do they know about the information that's being collected on them or collected about them. So in this survey, they asked, again, 1,500 people. They asked the question. The question was, do you know how smart doorbell companies use your personal data? 57% of the people that were surveyed said no, and this is 1,500 Americans, said no. 30% said they were unsure, and only 13% said yes, that they were aware of, you know, what these doorbell companies do with their personal data. Okay. Now, here's another question. They said, would you buy a smart doorbell if it was collecting and selling your data? Would you buy a smart doorbell if it was collecting and selling your data? 93% of the people that were surveyed said no, they would not. And 7% said yes, they would still buy it. Now, here's the thing, though. The information is being sold and shared that you, when you purchase or utilize these platforms. And how is it being shared, and who is it being shared with? Well, for instance, and again, this is where I'm going to talk about Ring a little bit, because a lot of this research focused on Ring since they have such a large portion of the market. So information that's being shared, who is it being shared with? First of all, your information is being shared with Facebook. They share user time zones, device model, screen resolutions, and other unique identifiers. This information is being shared with Facebook. And I'll get to how this information is being shared and what's the big deal. I'll explain to you in a second. The The information is also being shared with a Google-owned company called Crashlytics, and basically, Crashlytics collects all of the data about different system crashes that you have. Why is that important? I'll explain in a second. They also share the information with a company called Apps Flyers. This is sensitive data information, which is more about the gyroscope on the camera and things of that nature. I won't go too much into that, but they share that information as well. But I think the biggest one, and there's another two companies, but the biggest one is a company called Mixpanel. And Mixpanel, what they share with them, they share your full name, email address, device information, and app settings. Mixpanel takes this information, they build reports about user engagement, and they know how many people, for instance, in a certain area are utilizing what app at what time and things of this nature. Why is this an issue? Well, again, all of this information not only is shared, but also can be sold. Okay. And I'm not talking specifically about Ring here. I'm talking about all of these smart doorbell companies, these video doorbell companies. A lot of times this information is collected and sold for them to be able to subsidize the cost of the device. So sometimes you might say, wow, why is this, you might see one manufacturer that has a video doorbell might be, $70. And then you might see a Ring or a Nest. These are the companies that provide these type of devices. They might be at $150 or $200. And you go, wow, why is there such a difference in cost? Well, a lot of times it's because once you take on that device and you sign up for that service, many people don't read the terms and agreement page. They don't read the privacy policy page where it says that your data can be shared with all third-party vendors that we work with. So this is very key information that I hope people share with your community and your network about these devices and the information that's being shared. Now, I will say that Ring doorbell, going back to Ring. So let me just talk about Ring. So Ring, on their site, to their credit, it's right on their site. They have a privacy notice on there, and they break down exactly what is being shared, who they share it with, and also, why it's being shared. One of the things that kind of stood out to me in this policy, well, first let me do justice. So again, on their site, they break out their privacy notice, and they break it down into various categories. So they say here they have information that we collect. This is the information that they collect. Okay, this is Ring camera. They collect the your contact information, such as your name, phone number, email address, and postal address. Also, any account information such as passwords and other log-on details. Obviously, they have your payment information if you sign up for their subscription service. They'll have all of your information, including your credit card details, your credit card number, expiration date, security code. This is all the information that they collect. Again, this is all transparent on their site. This is not me just, doing some conspiracy talk, because you guys know I don't do conspiracy stuff. They collect your geolocation of your mobile device. And so that's also key, right? Because oftentimes people are checking their cameras from home or from work or from when they're out. So even though you are checking your camera, you may be on vacation in Hawaii, and they know that you're in Hawaii because they have access to your geolocation on your cell phone. They got technical information about your Wi-Fi network. They even know what Wi-Fi what the name of your Wi-Fi network is. Data interactions with other websites. They also have social media handles, especially when you're utilizing content and posting data onto their social media page. So people often upload their Ring videos to various social media pages. Well, they know your handle and they know what pages that you're using. And it's just a lot of information. They also it says here information we obtain from third-party social media services such as Facebook, PayPal, information from third-party business partners. I mean, I'm not going to go through it all, but they collect a lot of information on you. Okay, now let's go from information we collect to how we use the information. That information that they collect, it says here, this is their privacy policy. We may use personal information we obtain about you to provide products and services to you, to establish and manage your profile. And it goes through all of the other reasons why they use it. But then as you scroll down a little bit here, they go into we may use information collected about you in other ways for which we provide specific notice, a time of collection, or and obtain your consent if required by law. So as we're going down, it says information sharing. We do not sell or otherwise share personal information about you except as described in this privacy notice. We may share information. This is key, ladies and gentlemen. This is kind of like the drum roll and boom. We do not sell or otherwise share personal information about you except as described in this privacy notice. We may share personal information with our affiliates and subsidiaries, our service providers who perform service on our behalf, such as marketing, customer service, order fulfillment, and data analytics and storage. We do not authorize our service providers to use or disclose your personal information except as necessary to perform services on our behalf or comply with legal requirements. We may also share information with our business partners. We may also disclose personal information if we're required to do so by law, such as subpoena or court order. And then we reserve the right to transfer any personal information we have about you in the event we sell or transfer all or a portion of our business assets. I don't know if you picked all of that up, but they share a lot of information about you. And some of the ways, let's go into some of the ways that you can protect yourself. Let me back up a little bit. So what can you do to better serve yourself so all of this information is not being shared? Read the privacy policy before you start the service with these companies. I cannot emphasize that enough. Read the policy. Just like you saw me do, read the policy. Then there are certain aspects of information that you can opt out of. You can literally go through their agreement and opt out of various information sharing that you don't want them to have. You can also go to their terms and agreement, their terms and service agreement pages. Read through that. You can also opt out of many of those options in terms of sharing your information. So, for instance, when they say, do you want to send data regarding crashes? No, you don't want to send that information. Do you agree to have your information shared with third-party apps? No, you can opt out of that. There are several things that you can opt out of when it comes to, sharing your personal information once you use these products. So I would recommend my biggest thing is read. Read the policy, opt out, or in other cases, there are always other options to do video surveillance. I don't want to get too much into that today because that can take us down another rabbit hole, but there are other devices that you can set up yourself that can do remote monitoring. You could also use VPNs and things of that nature, but this is not a technical podcast. But my biggest advice to you is to read that information to make sure that you're understanding all of the information that is being put out by these service providers when you choose to use these doorbells. But as always, if this information was helpful, please feel free to leave a comment. You can reach us at the social media site. You can reach us at I am Trey Evans on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also Trey Evans on LinkedIn. And then you can also reach us at the People's Voice Podcast on Instagram to leave a message or a comment if you would like. So, thank you for your time today. As always, dreams are not just for sleeping. Please wake up and live your dreams. My name is Trey Evans, the People's Voice. Tell somebody about the dream. Salute. People's Voice.